Bum, ba, bum, bum, bum. Uh. All right. Yo, welcome back. Welcome back into what the second part of Alan Watts' "Not What Should Be" two. I in the first video, I don't really remember. It's been a while since I've actually done one of these, and I don't feel as though I did an intro in the other video. But yeah, welcome to the second part of this series that I'll be doing a lot of. Hopefully, I'm gonna try to keep up on it more. It took me 22 days of my month that I said that I wanted to do two of these. I guess I can still possibly do two of these, but we're still working. At least we're gonna get one down though. That's a solid. I mean, 50% maybe. A lot of goals, whatever. Anyway, my point being is that we're jumping into the second part of this series where I'm breaking down Alan Watts talks. I bought one whole collection, which is a lot. I haven't done nearly as much as I wanted to, but let's get into the second part of this. Not what should be two.
Well, what is it that you feel when you feel I? I'll tell you. What do you do when somebody says, pay attention? What is the difference between looking at something and taking a hard look at it? Or between hearing something and listening intently? What's the difference? What's the difference between waiting while something goes on and enduring it? Why? The difference is this, that when you pay attention, instead of just looking, you screw up your face. You frown and stare. That is a muscular activity around here.
Yeah, I don't know if he's about to say this, but I recently heard that a lot of Western civilization is just is very like always focused and like very stern faces. And I say Western as in like Western culture versus Eastern culture, not Western United States versus like Eastern United States or anything like that. Um, but even the culture, just there's not really that much Eastern culture. Maybe I don't know. I don't think there is that much anymore, from my knowledge.
When you will, you grit your teeth or clench your fists.
So anyway, really quick, I'm gonna re-say that again. Um, what did I just say? What I said was I recently found or heard that people were saying that, or that it's a kind of a known thing that more Western culture people are walking around with frowns or stern faces, just using their faces more, like really focusing on things when they don't really have to be focused on anything. So, I was just saying that, yeah.
When you endure or control yourself, you pull yourself together physically, and therefore you get uptight. You hold your breath. You do all kinds of muscular things to control the functioning of your nervous system. And none of them have the slightest effect on the proper operation of the nervous system. If you stare at things, you will rather fuzz the image than see them clearly. If you listen intently by concentrating on muscles round the ears, you will be so much attending to muscles here that you won't hear things properly. And you may get singing in the ears. If you tighten up with your body to pull yourself together, all you do is constrict yourself. I remember in school, I sat next to a boy who had great difficulty in learning to read. And what they always say to children is, try. If you can't do something, you must try. So the boy tries. And what has he done? When he's trying to get out words, he grunts and groans as if he were lifting weights. And the teacher's impressed. The boy's really trying. Gives him B for effort.
What?
All he's doing.
What? What?
Has nothing to do with it. Now, we all make this muscular straining with the thought that it's achieving psychological results. The sort of psychological results it's intended to achieve. Now, all this amounts to is it's like you're taking off in a jet plane. You've got a mile down the runway and the thing isn't up in the air yet, and you get nervous. So you start pulling at your seatbelt. That's what it is. Now, that is a chronic feeling. We have it in us all the time, and it corresponds to the word I. That's what you feel when you say I. You feel that chronic tension. Because when an organ is working properly, you don't feel it. If you see your eye, you've got cataract.
Is that what cataracts are? You can see your eye? What the fuck? That's so fucking crazy.
You see your eye, you've got cataract.
Yeah, that was weird. Okay, so I accidentally unplugged that. My bad.
You've got cataract. If you hear your ears, you've got singing in your ears, getting in the way of hearing. When you are fully functioning, you are unaware of the organ. When you're thinking clearly, your brain isn't getting in your way.
Right. Your brain's always in your way.
Of course, you are seeing your eyes in the sense that everything you see out in front of you is a condition in the optic nerves at the back of the skull. That's where you're aware of all this. But you're not aware of the eye as the eye. I'm talking about the optical eye. So when we are aware of the ego eye, we are aware of this chronic tension inside ourselves. And that's not us. It's a futile tension. So when we get the illusion, the image of ourselves, married to a futile tension, you've got an illusion married to a futility. And then you wonder why I can't do anything.
Because your ego's always in your own. Your ego's always telling. Your ego is always you can't get past your ego, or you can, but that's what he's saying.
Why I feel in the face of all the problems of the world impotent, and why I somehow cannot manage to transform I. Now here we get to the real problem.
Right.
Because we're always telling each other that we should be different.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not going to tell you that tonight. Why not? Because I know you can't be. Nor can I.
We just
That
are.
may sound depressing, but I'll show you it isn't. It's very heartening. But everybody, you see, who is at all sensitive and awake to their own problems and human problems is trying to change himself. We know we can't change the world unless we change ourselves. If we are all individually selfish, we're going to be collectively selfish.
Right. And
if we don't really love people.
This is a weird thought about well, it's a very cool thought that we're all connected. We're all basically one, and so it's kind of like a cool thought, but it's also like a weirdly like negative thought. Well, not negative, but you got to change yourself. You know what I mean? You got to make yourself think positive so that everybody else around you can think positive. And if you're building positivity, basically you're just, the end goal is for everybody to be positive and for everybody to be like, fucking everybody's positive, since it just is. You know what I mean?
And only pretend to. Somehow we've got to find a way to love. After all, it's said in the Bible, thou shalt love the Lord thy God and your neighbor as yourself. You must love. Yeah, we all agree. Sure. But we don't. In fact, One psychologist very smartly asked a patient, "With whom are you in love against?"
What? I missed it.
And
Kinda.
this
I don't get
particularly
it.
becomes appalling when we enter into the realm of higher things, by which I mean spiritual development. Everybody these days is interested in spiritual development. And wisely, because we want to change our consciousness. Many people are well aware that this egocentric consciousness is a hallucination, and that they presume it's the function of religion to change it, because that's what the Zen Buddhists and yogis and all these people in the Orient are doing. They are changing their state of consciousness to get something called satori, or mystical experience, or nirvana, or moksha, or what have you. And everybody around here is really enthused about that, because you don't get that in church.
What?
I mean, there have been Christian mystics, but the church has been very quiet about them.
Interesting. That's not true, though. But you do, right?
In the average church, all you get is talk. There's no meditation, no spiritual discipline. They tell God what to do interminably, as if he didn't know. And then they tell the people what to do, as if they could or even wanted to. And then they sing religious nursery rhymes.
Yeah.
And then, to cap it all, the Roman Catholic Church, which did at least have an unintelligible service, which was... which was, you know, it was real mysterious and suggested vast magic going on. They went and put the thing into bad English. And they took away incense, and they became a bunch of Protestants, and the thing was just terrible. So now all these Catholics are at loose ends, as Claire Booth Luce put it, not to be a pun, but she said, you know, it's no longer possible to practice contemplative prayer at Mass. Because you're being advised, exhorted, edified all the time. And it becomes a bore. Think of God listening to all those prayers. I mean, talking about grieving the Holy Spirit.
You know, I do resonate with this. Like, is church boring? Let's see. Is church boring? I think it's a pretty simple answer. And I think the answer is yes. Like, overall, church has no interaction besides well, it's not, no, okay, so it's not an interaction, but it's just like, yes. So overall, church is based on listening. Listening can be boring if someone is not interested. So I think like this. So if you're trying to teach somebody, right? Like, I mean, if you're trying to teach kids, like, you see it all day. Like, you know, I don't know how long a kid can sit there and listen to you. You gotta have like an activity to go along with it, or you have to like do something. So I think like this is very true. I think church is very boring, and even like just because like even on Twitch, for example, right? Like, for example, on Twitch, people, I'm not back up into it as much, but I've seen people that, you know, just have sound cues that do everything. You know, you have a sound cue, you have a lights flashing and stuff like that, and like, I know that some churches do that stuff, but I think not all churches do it. So I think you're going to see more modern churches that are going to do stuff like that, or maybe churches that are more based on Twitch, maybe, that are like people can comment and stuff. But like, I mean, that's the whole idea of church too, is you're not supposed to be commenting through it. Whereas, like right now, if somebody was commenting in like listening to this, we're stopping, we're going, we're talking about it. I think that promotes the discussion. Obviously, if there was thousands of people here, or even just hundreds of people, it'd be hard to like keep up with all comments and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't know. I think that overall church is boring. I think the language the Bible is written is the language the Bible is written in is also boring. Is hard to understand, which takes more mental power to break down, thus creating less drive to learn. Oh shoot, okay. Hello. Shoot, we're gonna have to do this. There. Okay. Thus creating less drive to learn. I think because when you're trying to read the Bible, it's just like very old. I think the general idea of the story, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to say it's right or wrong. It's just very hard to understand. So I think it becomes boring. Yeah.
It's just awful. People have no consideration for God at all. So, but in pursuing these spiritual disciplines, yoga and Zen and so forth, and also psychotherapy, there comes up a big difficulty. And the big difficulty is this. I want to find a method whereby I can change my consciousness. But therefore to improve myself. But the self that needs to be improved is the one that is doing the improving.
Right. This is exactly what he's talking about, and I'm learning. I'm definitely understanding it more. Is what he's about to explain is basically like, I mean, you're basically telling yourself like, oh, I need to improve myself, right? This is what I need to do, and really the person telling yourself, or really it's hard to understand, but like basically you have like the self, and then you have the ego that's telling you that you need to improve. Really, it's the ego that's really the one that needs to be improving. You know what I mean? Fuck that guy.
And so I'm rather stuck. I find out the reason that I think I believe, say, in God, is that I sure hope that somehow God will rescue me. In other words, I want to hang on to my own existence. And I feel rather shaky about doing that for myself, but I just hope there's a God who'll take care of it. Or if I could be loving, I would have a better opinion of myself. I'd feel better about it. I could face myself, as people say, if I were more loving. So the unloving me, somehow, by some gimmickry, has to turn itself into a loving me, and this is just like trying to lift yourself off the ground with your own bootstraps. It can't be done. And that's why religion, in practice, mainly produces hypocrisy. And guilt. Because of the constant failure of these enterprises. Oh, people go and study Zen. And they come back and say, wow, getting rid of your ego is a superhuman task. I assure you it's going to be very, very difficult to get rid of your ego.
Yeah.
You're going to have to sit for a long time, and you're going to get the sorest legs. Hard work.
something.
And all you wretched kids who think you're getting rid of your ego on part or something or other and easy yoga, you don't know what you're in for when it really comes down to the nitty-gritty. Will you?
Oh, tell me why you just described me.
No, the biggest ego trip going is getting rid of your ego.
Fucking A.
And the joke of it all is your ego doesn't exist.
Sure.
There's nothing to get rid of.
Oh, he's there.
It's an illusion, as I tried to explain. But you still want to ask how to stop the illusion.
Right.
Now, who's asking?
The fucking
I
ego.
mean, you think, in the
Son of
ordinary
a
sense in
bitch.
which you use the word I, how can I stop identifying myself with the wrong me?
Who?
Well, the answer is simply you can't.
Oh, man. Sucks.
The Christians put this in their way when they say that mystical experience is a gift of divine grace. Man, as such, cannot achieve this experience. It is a gift of God, and if God doesn't give it to you, there's no way of getting it. Now, that is solidly true. You can't do anything about it because you don't exist. What do you say? That's pretty depressing news. But the whole point is it isn't depressing news. It is the joyous news. There's a Zen poem which puts it like this, talking about it. It means the mystical experience, Satori, the realization that you are the eternal energy of the universe, like
Sure.
Jesus did. It says like this: you cannot catch hold of it, nor can you get rid of it. In not being able to get it, you get it. When you speak, it's silent. When you're silent, it speaks. Now, in not being able to get it, you get it. Because this whole feeling, what Krishnamurti is trying to explain to people, for example, when he says, why do you ask for a method? There is no method. All methods are simply gimmicks for strengthening your ego.
All right, sorry. We're gonna restart that just real quick. I'm just curious, cause like, basically, I mean, a lot of other books or like the Tao. The Tao basically kind of says the same thing. It's like the way is there, and it's just the way, and you can't even know the way because it's just the way. But I'm curious on who he said this was.
It is the joyous news. There's a Zen poem which puts it like this, talking about it. It means the mystical experience, Satori, the realization that you are the eternal energy of the universe, like Jesus did. It says like this: you cannot catch hold of it, nor can you get rid of it. In not being able to get it, you get it. When you speak, it's silent. When you're silent, it speaks. Now, in not being able to get it, you get it. Because this whole feeling, what Krishnamurti is trying to explain to people, for example, when he says, why do you ask for a method? There is no method. All methods are simply gimmicks for strengthening your ego. So how do we not do that? He says you're still asking for a method. There is no method. If you really understand what your I is, you will see there is no method.
It just is, right? You just
This is so sad.
kinda.
But it's not. This is the gospel, the good news. Because if you cannot achieve it, if you cannot transform yourself, that means that the main obstacle to mystical vision has collapsed. That was you. What happens? You can't do anything about it. You're at your wit's end. What are you going to do? Commit suicide?
I was just about to say this. So if the main obstacle is yourself, right? Is this why that? Okay, I'm very very intrigued by this. I think that people that have very big addiction problems and somehow are able to pull themselves back out of it, you know what I mean? Like, whether it's them deciding that, and I'm not talking about people that like are forced to go to rehab and get out and stuff like that, because like I think that that's different. I still think that you're very prone to like whatever, to going back into it, relapsing, or you know what I mean. I just don't feel like it's the same. But I think the people that hit the rock bottom, that have like nothing else, like, and like realize that, I think those people, like, their potential is like so much more than like anybody else's. Like, they understand that the main obstacle was themselves. Like, you can see yourself destroying yourself, and like then you turn it around and you're able to do, I think, better things. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think I've seen a lot of people that like hit rock bottom and like don't come back, and then I've seen a lot of people that hit rock bottom and then choose, like literally choose to make themselves like the best selves, like, you know what I mean, and like just fucking absolutely beautiful type stuff, you know what I mean? Uh,
But supposing you just put that off for a little while, wait and see what happens. You can't control your thoughts. You can't control your feelings, because there is no controller. You are your thoughts and your feelings. And they're running along, running along, running along. Just sit and watch them. Here they go. You're still breathing, aren't you?
See, I would disagree with the fact that he said that
Still growing your hair?
you are them. You're not. You don't have to be.
Still seeing and hearing? Are you doing that? I mean, is breathing something that you do? Do you see? I mean, do you organize the operations of your eyes? Know exactly how to work those rods and cones in the retina? Do you do that? It's a happening. It happens. So you can feel all this happening. Your breathing is happening. Your thinking is happening. Your feeling is happening. You're hearing, you're seeing. The clouds are happening across the sky. The sky is happening blue. The sun is happening shining. There it is. All this happening. And may I introduce you? This is yourself. This begins to be a vision of who you really are. And that's the way you function. You function by happening, that is to say, by spontaneous occurrence. And this is not a state of affairs that you should realize. I cannot possibly preach it to you, because the minute you start thinking, I should understand that, this is this stupid notion again that I should bring it about, when there is no you to bring it about. See, that's why I'm not preaching. You can only preach to egos. All I can do is to talk about what is. It amuses me to talk about what is because it's wonderful. I love it, and therefore I like to talk. If I get paid for it, then I make my living, and sensible people get paid for doing what they enjoy doing. So this is not you see, this is the whole approach here, is not to convert you, not to make you over, not to improve you, but for you to discover that if you really knew the way you are, things would be sane. But you see, you can't do that. You can't make that discovery because you're in your own way.
Right.
So long as you think, I'm I. So long as that hallucination blocks it. And the hallucination disappears only in the realization of its own futility. When at last you see you can't do it.
Right.
You cannot make yourself over. You cannot really control your own mind.
So, like, I think even at this point, like, you know, basically me studying these talks, right? I'm trying to study these talks, right? And, like, reality, I don't even know. Am I fucking studying for no reason? I don't know. Probably because, like, it's not going to teach me how to do it. It's just going to fucking It's funny. Whatever. It's cool.
See, when we try to control the mind, a lot of yoga teachers try to get you to control your own mind, mainly to prove to you that you can't do it. There's nothing, a fool who persists in his folly will become wise. So what they do is they speed up the folly. And so you get concentrating. And you can have a certain amount of superficial and initial success by a process commonly called self-hypnosis. And you can think you're making progress. And a good teacher will let you go along that way for a while until he really throws you with one. Why are you concentrating? See, Buddhism works this way. Buddha said, if you suffer because you desire, and your desires are either unattainable or always being disappointed or something. So cut out desire. So those disciples went away and they stamped on desire, jumped on desire, cut the throat of desire, and threw out desire. But then they came back and Buddha said, but you are still desiring not to desire. They wondered how to get rid of that. So when you see that that's nonsense, there naturally comes over you a quietness. In seeing that you cannot control your mind, you realize there is no controller. What you took to be the thinker of thoughts is just one of the thoughts. What you took to be the feeler of the feelings, which was that chronic muscular strain, was just one of the feelings. What you took to be the experiencer of experience is just part of the experience. So there isn't any thinker of thoughts, feeler of feelings. We get into that bind because we have a grammatical rule that verbs have to have subjects. And the funny thing about that is that verbs are processes and subjects are nouns, which are supposed to be things. How does a noun start a verb? How does a thing put a process into action?
Right, processes
Obviously
are just processes. Interesting.
But we always insist that there is this subject called the knower. And without a knower, there can't be knowing. Well, that's just a grammatical rule. It isn't a rule of nature. In nature, there's just knowing, like you're feeling it. And I have to say you are feeling it, as if you were somehow different from the feeling. When I say I am feeling, what I mean is there is feeling here. When I say you are feeling, I mean there is feeling there. I have to say even there is feeling. What a cumbersome language we have.
Right,
Chinese is easier.
Feeling.
You don't have to put all that in. You can say things twice as fast in Chinese as you can in any other language.
I believe it.
Well, anyway.
That's why they have less. That's why I have symbols. Oh, shoot.
You come to see that you can do nothing. That the play of thought, of feeling, etc., just goes on by itself as a happening. Then you are in a state which we will call meditation. And slowly, without being pushed, your thoughts will come to silence. That is to say, all the verbal, symbolic chatter going on in the skull. Don't try and get rid of it, because that will again produce the illusion that there's a controller.
Right.
Just, it goes on, it goes on, it goes on, and finally it gets tired of itself and bored and stops. And so then there's a silence. And this is a deeper level of meditation. And in that silence, you suddenly begin to see the world as it is. And you don't see any past, and you don't see any future. You don't see any difference between yourself and the rest of it. That's just an idea. You can't put your hand on the difference between myself and you. You know, you can't blow it, you can't bounce it, you can't pull it. It's just an idea.
It's the difference. You know what I mean?
You can't find any material body, because material body is an idea. So is spiritual body. This is somebody's philosophical notions. See, reality isn't material. That's an idea. Reality isn't spiritual. That's an idea. Reality is
just that.
So
You know what I mean?
we find, if I've got to put it back into words, that we live in an eternal now.
Now, yeah.
You've got all the time in the world because you've got all the time there is, which is now. And you are this universe. And you feel the strange feeling when ideas don't define the differences, you feel that other people's doings are your doings. And that makes it very difficult to blame other people.
Yeah, because
if you're not sophisticated theologically,
it's like, yeah, I mean, if like, how can you blame other people for like how you feel or for like the things that are like, you know what I mean? It's like blaming yourself. You blame somebody else, you're blaming yourself. For what though? I mean, for, you know what I mean? What happened? You know, I don't know.
you may, of course, run screaming in the streets and say that you're God.
You
In a way, that's what
say
happened
that.
to Jesus, because he wasn't sophisticated theologically. He only had Old Testament biblical theology behind him. If he'd had Hindu theology, he could have put it more subtly. But it was only that rather primitive theology of the Old Testament. And that was a conception of God as a monarchical boss. Thanks.
Interesting.
And you can't go around and say, I'm the boss's son. If you're going to say, I'm God, you must allow it for everyone else too. But this was a heretical...
Whoa, what a trip. Okay, I've never heard it described like that. Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, that's super interesting. I don't know. That's you can't say that you're he did say he was the son of God though, right? That's what it's written down. Interesting.
Idea from the point of view of Hebrew theology. And so what they did with Jesus was they pedestalized him. That means kicked him upstairs so that he wouldn't be able to influence anyone else. And only you may be God. And that stopped the gospel cold right at the beginning. It couldn't spread. Well, anyway, this is therefore to say that the transformation of human consciousness through meditation is frustrated. So long as we think of it in terms of something that I myself can bring about by some kind of wangle, by some sort of gimmick. Because you see, that leads to endless games of spiritual one-upmanship and of guru competitions.
Right.
Of my guru is more effective than your guru. My yoga's faster than your yoga. I'm more aware of myself than you are. I'm humbler than you are. I'm sorrier for my sins than you are. I love you more than you love me. This interminable goings on about which people fight and wonder whether they are a little bit more evolved than somebody else and so on. All that can just fall away. And then we get this strange feeling that we have never had, you see, in our lives, except occasionally by accident. Some people get a glimpse that we are no longer this poor little stranger and afraid in a world it never made, but that you are this universe, and you are creating it at every moment, because you see, it starts now. It didn't begin in the past. There was no past. See, if the universe began in the past, when that happened, it was now. See? Well, it's still now. And the universe is still beginning now, and it's trailing off like the wake of a ship from now. In the wake of the ship fades out, so does the past. You can look back there to explain things, but the explanation disappears. You'll never find it there. Things are not explained by the past. They're explained by what happens now. That creates the past, and it begins here. That's the birth of responsibility. Because otherwise, you can always look over your shoulder and say, well, I'm the way I am because my mother dropped me. And she dropped me because she was neurotic because her mother dropped her. And away we go back to Adam and Eve or to a disappearing monkey or something. We never get at it. But in this way, you're faced with it. You're doing all this. And that's an extraordinary shock.
Yeah.
So, cheer up. You can't blame anyone else for the kind of world you're in. And if you know, you see that I, in the sense of the person, the front, the ego, it really doesn't exist, then it won't go to your head too badly if you wake up and discover that you're...
Alrighty, y'all. Let's do a recap. That was it. That was the end. Recap this up real quick. Oh, wow. Still 75%. Yikes. Okay, so what not should be. We got enduring is equal to uptight, and you're not breathing. You're trying to focus. You're just enduring your existence, and basically, it's actually doing exactly the opposite of what you're trying to do. So, you're not breathing, and you're trying to focus on things, and you're trying not to breathe and pull up your weights, or you're trying not to breathe and you're trying to write perfect, or you're just tightening up and you're physically, that's actually the exact opposite of what you need to be doing. It should be like letting go and being free, being more open and fluid, I guess. Telling people to be different isn't possible. We all know we just can't be different. It's like saying, yeah, you should be more giving, more this or less this, or you know what I mean? You should spend your time, you should, allot yourself more time for your family because that's what you should care about or whatever. And we all know, you're just telling people that, and it's just them, you know what I mean? They're going to do whatever they're going to do, and you know what I mean? To be honest, it's just them. You got to be okay with that. You got to find a way to love everyone like yourself because everyone is one. That's going to be the main theme, I think, of this whole, a lot of it is everybody is basically everybody, you know what I mean? You got to treat everybody. That's why they always talk about, one love, or, just the fact that, the earth is, your one planet. It's like we all manifest this one earth that we have, and gotta just treat everybody like yourself, because otherwise you're not treating yourself with respect, or you know what I mean, whatever. If you're treating somebody else bad, basically you're treating yourself bad, and you don't want to do that. Is church boring? We spent a lot of time on this. I'm not gonna basically, but yes, overall church is boring. Something fucking let's get something new church. I don't know, I'm all down for everybody learning, so let's just whatever. The ego tells the self that it needs to be better. It's not the real self that needs to improve. It's actually the one that's telling the self, whoever you want to depict as the person telling you in your head, Charlie. Is that his name? I forgot his name, to be honest. Whatever my fucking dude's name is. No, I'm just kidding. No, but the ego is the fucking problem for sure. The Zen Poem, I didn't finish it all, but that was I like that. You cannot catch hold of it nor get rid of it by not being able to get it. You get it by it's silent when you talk and talks when you're silent, or something like that. That's pretty cool. I like that. Main obstacle is yourself. You're always in your own way. But huge topic. I think, just very, very seriously, I don't know if this is why people if you hit the bottom, you can only see more on top. I mean, I don't think that it always works out. I think that you can, still trail on the bottom, but I think the people that have hit the bottom that can see only a greater path going up always tend to be in a greater, trending path forward. In a positive trend once they've hit the bottom. So I think that their obstacles are very less limiting. Like they can see through the opacity of their self a little bit more. Happenings, their feelings, their thoughts, their scenes. They're seeing things. They're being. Sun is shining. The breeze is blowing. This is I. I am happening. Is what I wrote. Just like everything that's just going on it just is, and it's also me, which is also you, which is also everyone. You can only preach to the egos. So what I'm doing right now, I'm talking. I fucking love it. I actually really am super stoked whenever I'm talking. I think that's probably my path is just to talk. I don't know. I really like talking and talking about whatever. So let's build that path, I guess, right? Try to control your own mind. Whoa. Trying to control your own mind, just to see that you can't. Buddha said cut out the desire, but then once you're trying to cut out the desire, you're going to see that your desire is to cut out desire, and you're back in a fucking loop. Everything's a loop, swimming in circles. Boom, boom, boom. Love it. Verbs. They have to have nouns. Oh, yeah. But nature does not agree with that. So nature would say that you don't have to have a noun for being or seeing or fucking running. It just, the act is already happening, so you don't, it's hard to explain, but if you know, you know. Happening is meditation. Don't try to stop it. Just let it run until it's tired. When you're meditating, you're just thoughts, everything's just happening, your thoughts are going, and you're trying to just let it all run out until like you're just happening still, you're just being. Reality is, I wish I could let's see, bold it. Bold it. I don't know, copper. Oh shit, no, Control Z. Edit, where's oh shit, where's the redo? Was it Control Shift Z? Oh fuck. My bad. We gotta get going. Nothing worse than OneUpmanship. I hate that shit too. You just gotta let people be who they are and just let it be is, And yeah. Thank you for watching. If you liked anything you saw, give it a thumbs up. I'm trying to do more of these weekly Alan Watts videos where we break it down. I have a lot to go, so keep me in mind. Keep me in mind, and hit the subscribe button if you want to see more. I'll try to upload as many as I can as soon as I can. I'm trying to stream them as well. So if you haven't already, go to twitch.tv/the_DFFRNCE, the_DFFRNCE, the difference. I'm live on Twitch pretty often. Definitely will be live, and you can hit the follow button. That way you know when I go live on there to do these Alan Watts discussions. So keep an eye out if you haven't already. I will be posting more, and thank you. Leave a comment if you liked any of this. If you have any questions, if you want to talk about any of this that I've gone over, love to hear any of that. And yeah, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it.